Funness is, I hope you've been enjoying your lunch. I have been in heaven, sitting here enjoying a great meal and visiting with people at the table that I've been fortunate enough to be at. So hopefully you have had that same kind of lunch experience. If you haven't been, please go right on eating. But because we don't want to go on forever here, we will go on with our program now. And I'm going to respond over to Ann Anderson, our West Program Director, and she will take it from here.
Hi, everybody. Aloha. Oh, you're so well trained. By the way, you all look so beautiful. It's so nice to see you again after the long hot summer. Isn't it great to be together again? And on this 9/11 day, before we start introducing our wonderful teachers and what they're going to be doing for you, I just want to remind you that BYU has done something for the first time at the stadium this year. It's called the Tower Climb. And it's free. If you want to go at 6 o'clock tonight at BYU Stadium, the first responders, the military, cops, and also fire department people will be running up or climbing up 2021 steps in the stadium to represent the 110 stories of the World Trade Center. Plus, they will be flashing all the pictures of the heroes who died there, as well as the happenings and stuff. I think there'll be live music and everything, and a lot of action. If you're bored tonight, you may think about going over there for free. But I don't think we want to necessarily climb those stairs, unless there's going to be ambulances there waiting. Anyway, happy 9/11 to you all, and we have just had a home run luncheon, wouldn't you say? Thank you. You beat your culinary art. But oh boy, have we got a slam dunk lineup of teachers for you this year. Just fantastic. And I'm going to introduce them to you by day. Now, I don't know if you're aware of the fact that we have these single sheets over on the far table on the south side. Because if you would like to encourage your neighbors or friends or people who've been kind of sluggish about joining Elder Quest, this is the thing to hand to them, because this is the lineup in color of what they can expect every single day, and it's only $45 for a whole year. I paid $98 for one big Elder Quest. And you know what? We have some of the best teachers in the state. We really do. And you're about to meet them either by video or in person today. I want to start off by telling you what we got lined up for Monday. So if you can set your alarm, get up, wash your face, do all those things before 10 o'clock.
You mean elder education. You paid to make money.
Education week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say elder Quest? Oh, I meant education. A lot of money, but oh, so worth it. Oh, well, how many of you went to education week? BYU. Weren't your lives transformed? Oh my gosh, I hope some of you got to hear Joseph Grinny. That is going to be covered by Theon and Gerhardt in their class. You won't believe the miracle people that we're going to be introducing to you with potpourri talks this year. And all these wonderful teachers that we have just been so inspiring, and they're really revved up and ready to go. So Monday at 10 a.m. That's this coming Monday, the 16th, okay? Be there with bells on. We've got Judith and Leonard Turney, and you know they always cover stuff that matters to us our day. They're going to be talking about Hollywood ideology. And so we'd like to see a video of Leonard and also Judith right now.
And the others.
And the others as well? Okay, we'll be back to that.
Just set them.
All right, at 1 o'clock after lunch, a break at lunch if you would like after the 10 a.m. class, which usually goes till around 11:30. So at 1 o'clock, we'll be doing Exploring Paradise Lost with Bruce Young. And we'll show the video with him explaining what that class is gonna be like. And then at 2:15, we got the poetry of Leslie Norris by Alan Keel. And so you're familiar with a lot of our teachers, but you know darn well how good they are. So get ready for a fabulous new year.
Hi, we're the attorneys, Judith and Leonard. I'm Judith, he's Leonard. We're doing a new class this semester that we're very excited about. The title of it is Hollywood's Homefront Takes on the Third Reich, 1930 to 1946. So it has kind of a heady title, but we're excited about what we're going to offer to you.
We are very excited, and I think you will be excited too, as you discover more about what this subject entails. So Judith, you want to give them a
Well, we're going to start
that.
with what was going on in the 1930s in Hollywood. A lot of screwball comedies, a lot of crime, westerns and things of that sort, until finally, I guess, we as Americans woke up to the idea that there was a threat, and that films were a really good propaganda thing to be able to help support the troops as they go. And it's the home front that we're really interested in, not the war movies, but the home front and what was going on there. Some of the films you'll recognize: Foreign Correspondent, The Great Dictator, Mrs. Miniver, but many of them you may not have even seen. And so we want to cover those and take excerpts from those films each week and discuss those and the progress of the war as it goes into the 1940s, right?
Yeah, many of us were born during this period, have memories, and our purpose is not to go down memory lane, but I know that your contributions will be useful as you consider, as we do, the degree to which the home front was indeed a major factor in America's virtual survival during that period and ultimate victory. These films are interesting in and of themselves. Several of them are classic films. I think you will be delighted in the kind of commentary that we provide, and we will be excited to hear your responses.
We're really interested in seeing the Walt Disney productions too. I'm sure you'll appreciate Bugs Bunny and all of his friends as they combat the war front too. Okay, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
Oh, and by the way, our class
Oh, yes.
starts on the 16th of September at 10 a.m. in the Provo Senior Center. It's the first class in the whole series.
Hi, my name is Bruce Young. This coming semester, I'll be teaching a class titled Exploring Paradise Lost. It will take place Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. And it will start on Monday, September 16th at 1 p.m. at the Provo Senior Center, part of the Provo Rec Center. You've probably heard of Paradise Lost. Some of you may even have read it, but I'm going to describe it a bit for those of you who may not know much about it. Paradise Lost was written in the 1600s, about 350 years ago, by John Milton, who's considered one of the most important writers in the English language. He's often classed along with Shakespeare and Chaucer, and not to mention Dante and Homer and Virgil, as one of the world's truly first-class writers. Paradise Lost is Milton's most important book, and it's one of the greatest epics of all time, and certainly the greatest epic in the English language. But it's also one of those books that everyone feels like they ought to read and very few actually do. So one of the purposes of this class will be to encourage you to actually read Paradise Lost, the whole thing. Along the way, I'll do my best to help you to not only to understand and appreciate it, but also to enjoy it. Paradise Lost is beautifully written and filled with insight. And even more than that, it's a book filled with spiritual beauty and power. Some of you may remember a year ago when I taught a class on great poems of the English language. We read a few excerpts from Paradise Lost, and I still remember the feeling in the room that day. It felt as if we were experiencing something holy. I hope we'll have some of that same experience this coming semester. Paradise Lost presents Milton's account of the war in heaven, of the creation of the universe and of the first humans, of the temptation and fall of Adam and Eve and their expulsion from the garden. And after that, a preview of all of human history from that point onward. Along the way, Milton deals with a lot of important issues. The character of Adam and Eve, what kind of people they are. The character and psychology of Satan. What's his motivation? What makes him tick? Satan's tactics in tempting Adam and Eve. The consequences of the fall, and the question of whether the fall was ultimately a good thing or a bad thing. And finally, how God offers hope and forgiveness, especially by revealing to Adam and Eve his plan for their happiness and redemption. I think the most valuable thing that we'll discover in Paradise Lost is the way that it wrestles with issues that all of us have to deal with in our own lives. Issues like discerning between good and evil, exercising agency, dealing with temptation and sin and repentance. Much of the focus of the epic is on relationships, and it's especially powerful in the insights that it offers about the relationship between husband and wife and between humans and God. As the first to experience the challenges and opportunities of human life, Adam and Eve set the pattern for all of us who've come after. Learning about them is a profound way of learning about ourselves. And so exploring Paradise Lost will be an opportunity to experience a powerful, beautiful, and highly influential work of literature, and at the same time to explore the meaning of our own lives. Plus, if you keep up with the reading, you'll finally be able to say that you've read one of the world's great epics. I hope you'll join us in spending 10 weeks exploring Paradise Lost.
Hello, everyone. My name's Alan Keel. I'm a retired professor from BYU in the field of German studies. But some years ago, when I was asked for the first time to teach at Elder Quest, I chose to give a course on a very close friend of mine who had accidentally stumbled or was divinely guided to Utah County, who was a famous and justifiably famous poet from Wales. His name was Leslie Norris. He and his wife, Kitty, moved into our community, and Linda and I became sort of the children that they'd never had. We became like their sons and daughters and their grandkids and so forth. But it turned out that Leslie Norris is one of the world's finest poets in the English language. And he writes remarkable stories as well, some for children and others for adults. And so we were sitting on a true goldmine of wonderful literature with Leslie, and he had thousands and thousands of friends here and throughout the world because he's truly a famous guy. So here he is living right amongst us until 2006 when he passed away. The house he bought after he rented our house for 6 months when we were in study abroad in Vienna is just down the street from us, and it's now been purchased by UVU. It's on their property, as it were. And so UVU is going to have a shrine to him there if I can have anything to do with it. But let me just tell you about the class. It's going to be start on September 16th. And I've usually had to teach nearly last on Thursdays, but this time, for some reason, I got a Monday assignment. Mondays at 2:15, which I'm very happy to have. We're going to walk through some of Leslie's poetry and some of his stories. And this year we'll do something a little different. I told people who had taken the class before, all of whom were extremely enthusiastic about it, that they ought to come again, because we'll do some different poems this time, including some poems that Leslie and I translated together by the very famous Austrian Czech author, poet named Rainer Maria Rilke, one of the most famous writers in the German language. And Leslie and I translated two very difficult and very rewarding cycles of poems by him, the Duino Elegies and the Sonnets to Orpheus. So I'm going to read more of those this time. I didn't read any of those last time. So please do come. What I promise you is that you will, if you think I don't like poetry, you're probably right if you think what you've heard up to this date and is called poetry is poetry. If somebody's speaking from the pulpit in church who's put to rhyme some of their favorite feelings, that's not poetry. Nor is poetry something that's so abstract that puzzle that you can't even understand what it's all about. Leslie Norris will not do that to you. He will show you, and you'll go away praising Leslie Norris for having taught you what true poetry is. True inspiration about the meaning of life and the eternal value of our lives here. Leslie was born in Wales. He has all kinds of prizes. He's the only person who is a member of the Welsh Academy and of the Literary Academy in Great Britain, because he has feet in both those camps. Some of the things he wrote are just spectacular. It's very difficult for me sometimes to read them without weeping. Luckily, we have him on CDs and DVDs reading his own poetry with a voice that you cannot believe how beautiful it is. So 16th of January, I'm sorry, September 2:15, Provo Rec Center. I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, we'd like to recognize these four great teachers. Can we have Judith and Leonard Turney stand? Where are you?
This is my lovely wife.
Okay. We got her here in spirit. This is where Leonard is, and let's have Bruce Young stand. Right next to him, okay? And Alan Keel, where are you? Over there. If any of you would like to ask them questions about their classes, but doesn't Monday sound like a great lineup? Honestly, I hope we have enough chairs for all of you. And never forget, we have Gerhard, and we've got it on Zoom if you can't make it in person. One good thing about COVID was we found Gerhard, who has been such a blessing to our program. Let's give him a hand. Okay, drum roll for Tuesday's lineup. Okay. 10 o'clock, we got the Dance of the Titans with Robert Griffiths and African Adventures with Jeannie Griffiths, another fabulous couple who will be giving us all kinds of international interesting ideas about the world. And then at 1 o'clock, after a lunch break, we've got Continuing Churchill. Oh gosh, such an exciting class last semester. Michael Thompson. And so we will be hearing from Michael in person rather than a video today. Where are you, Michael?
Right here.
Oh, good. And then we've got David Farnsworth, who will be teaching at 2:15 about the Supreme Court. Very serious subject this year. Oh boy. He taught us about the Constitution last semester, but this is really going to be it. So fire away.
Hi, I am Robert Griffiths. I would like to show you my necktie. It says, 没有任何成功可以弥补家庭的失败. Or in English, no success can compensate for failure in the home. My point is that no matter what language we are speaking, we have a lot in common. In the next 50 years, the two nations that will have the greatest impact on the world are the United States and China. Our economies are roughly the same size and way bigger than any other country. Our two militaries are by far the largest in the world. We both lead the world in technology and its applications. We both compete for the allegiance of the rest of the world. How important is it that we understand each other better? In this course, we will take a look at how the United States and China deal with the many challenges that both countries face. I titled the course, The Dance of the Titans. What sort of things will we be looking at? Well, the housing shortage. Would you rather be a young couple trying to buy a house in Utah County or in China? Social Security and retirement. Did you know that the US Social Security Reserve Fund and the Chinese retirement system are both running out of money, coincidentally, in 2035? What are they going to do? What are we going to do? Immigration. Who are the people outside of China who want to be inside of China these days? How are the US and China competing for the best and the brightest international students? Political stability and legitimacy. What in their history predisposes the Chinese to seem to be so complacent about their lack of political rights from our perspective? How do their current policies reflect what they think they have learned from the United States? Demographic shifts. You've probably heard about China's one-child policy. Do you know that now China has a three-child policy? Did you know that women in the United States are not having enough babies to replace all the people who are dying? What is that going to mean for our economic growth? Understanding these issues and others will help us to understand what we have in common and help us understand our differences. I feel like I've been preparing for this course all my professional life. But if you attend, you don't have to do any preparation at all. Just sit back and grow tomatoes, if Margine will allow that. I look forward to seeing you Tuesday morning, September 17th in the Provo Senior Center for China and the United States, the Dance of the Titans. See you then.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Griffiths, and I am delighted to be back. I will again be teaching cultural geography, where we learn about the history, the languages, the geography, and culture of some of the 197 countries in the world. The past 2 fall semesters, I taught about a part of the world that was constantly in the news, and still is. We learned about Russia and Ukraine. Since I didn't know anything about Russia, it was a steep learning curve. And yes, we learned some cool stuff, but the class nearly killed me. I was so exhausted when I finished, I was determined to find an easier class to teach this year. Since this is my 8th year teaching at ElderQuest, I thought, hey, I'll teach something I've done in the past. So I decided we would again learn about Africa. I don't remember exactly when I taught this class, but if I'm the teacher and don't remember, it's probably safe to assume you don't remember either. In the end, it really didn't matter since I threw out almost everything and put in all new information. So much for trying to make things easier. Africa was the last continent to be colonized. Once all the deadly diseases were under control, the Western powers waltzed in and divided up the whole continent in a week back in the 1880s. With so many different tribes, Africa is the most linguistically diverse place in the world, with 300 languages. The European powers completely ignored the tribal differences, oftentimes putting enemy tribes into one newly colonized nation. This later backfired with a rash of tribal wars. Unlike Latin America, which was colonized for 300 years, Africa had one of the shortest colonizations, relatively speaking. In the 1960s, all the African nations got their independence. Today, Africa is an up-and-coming place. Economically, it's booming. 11 of the world's top 20 fastest growing nations are in Africa. Africa's population is one of the fastest growing in the world. And while we are on the subject of growth, the LDS Church has also had exponential growth in Africa. Church membership grew an astounding 67% in the first 10 years they were there. That growth was helped along with some miraculous conversion stories of Christian pastors who went on to organize hundreds of unauthorized LDS congregations prior to the church showing up in 1978. We're going to hear some of their fascinating stories, as well as a lot of other fascinating stuff. Come join us for another great semester. My class will start on Tuesday, September 17th at 11 a.m. We will meet in the Provo Senior Center at the Community Center of Provo. See you there or be square. Thanks for your interest.
If you could see my video, you'd understand why I'm standing here in person. Every time Winston Churchill addressed a French-speaking audience, he would say, "Prenez garde, je vais parler français." Watch out, I'm going to speak French. He was pretty fluent, but his accent was just abominable. People made fun of him behind his back, never to his face, though. The working title of this course, at least as far as I'm concerned, is really, it's not Winston Churchill or Winston Churchill continued, but Winston Churchill in the 20th century. If anyone was in the 20th century, making history, writing history, and sometimes inventing a little history, it was Winston. I'm bold to say that the material for this course is extraordinary, not because of the teacher, but because of the material. The material is at times beyond the reach of our imagination. It's certainly beyond the reach of my imagination. Over the past 2 years, I've sometimes feared that I might die by suffocation, suffocating under the piles of dusty books that I have amassed about this man and his countless extraordinary contemporaries. People like Charlie Chaplin, Lawrence of Arabia, Laurence Olivier, George Orwell, Mahatma Gandhi, David Lloyd George, Franklin Roosevelt, and of course that haunting and sinister figure, Joseph Stalin, or as Winston said, Joseph Stalin. I have bought more books on this topic than I have either the time or the energy to consume. I've driven some of our own contemporaries here at Elder Quest into virtual receivership, Wilkins Macabre-like, with my recommendations of yet another book on Churchill and his times. Witness the fate of David Wilson, who carries a sign, "We'll trade books about Churchill for food." The more I study the period, just the period of World War II, of course, which was the height of Churchill's experience and his contribution to the world, a period in which Churchill became more of a personage than a person, amidst the greatest upheaval of events in the history of the world. I say the more I study, the more difficulty I have in comprehending that these things actually happened. Well, you can decide if you believe these things really happened and draw your own conclusions about why and how they happened and how they continue to shape our world. So join us Tuesdays at 1 o'clock at the Provo Senior Center for Winston Churchill in and through the 20th century. Thank you.
My course this semester is the Supreme Court, the top 20. We'll examine the top 20 cases decided by the United States Supreme Court to say who's going to decide what the top 20 are. Well, I am, of course. But I've consulted a lot of experts, and I think there's a fairly good consensus. As said, we'll discuss 2 cases each week, and I'll let you know after this first week, which is September the 17th at 2:15, which cases we'll look at the following week. So you can get ahead of me if you want. I have in my library a book absolutely vilifying the Supreme Court, written by people on the right. I have in my library a book absolutely vilifying the Supreme Court, written by people on the left. I thought of a line from The Charge of the Light Brigade. Cannons on the right of them, cannons on the left of them. Onward, onward, the brave 4, 6, 8, 9 justices into the valley of what? Anyway, that's what we'll learn about. And for you who took my Constitution course last year, you will learn increasingly more about the Constitution on a section-by-section basis as it's been interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. If you didn't take that course, You'll learn more about the Constitution, section by section, as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. And I hope at the end of the class, you'll be able to decide whether your canon's on the right of them or canons are on the left of them. Or maybe we'll understand the importance of this institution and the great contribution they've made to the law and the society of the United States of America. Thank you.
But doesn't Tuesday sound exciting too, and especially in this political climate right now, we can be enlightened by these experts in areas that we really need to get more informed. So you really can't afford not to come. Thank you again, David Farnsworth, and our wonderful Michael Thompson. And where are the Griffiths? We need to know where you are. Standing back there. Okay, that's where they are. Give them all a hand. This is the Tuesday game. All right, now Wednesday we have one class, but it's taught by Gerhard and Dion together. And they are going to highlight phenomenal personalities and books that they've read, mainly about remarkable people. And they will, on video, describe what they're going to be doing this year. And also on Wednesdays, we have our potpourri lectures. Every Wednesday at 11:15 a.m., we are going to have some unbelievable speakers. So be sure and stay tuned to find out who they are and come to that as well. Yes.
When in our newsletter and on this schedule, the time for the potpourri is listed incorrectly.
Yes, the handout with all of the daytime classes. Look at Wednesday if you've got the single sheet. The beginning time for the potpourri luncheon is wrong. It is 11:15 a.m. Make sure you know that because we do want you there, and it's a one-time lecture and potpourri talk that is oftentimes life-changing. So you don't want to miss that. Well, we also have another day of classes coming up. Drum roll for 10 a.m. The World and You, Brad Daw, our youthful, very much involved in politics.
You need to let.
Oh, I forgot. You are going to look at the video for Wednesday. Erase what I just did. It didn't happen. So you're going to listen to the wonderful ideas, and I hope some of the names of the people that you're going to be highlighting, they're so exciting, and they have spent hours and hours reading these books, and frequently they will bring books for you to read. I've never seen people, especially a couple, read so many books in my life. But what they want to personify and also expound on to you is phenomenal. There are heroes among us, really, in this state that you're going to learn about through them. Go for it, Kara.
Beyond Ruth. My husband Gerhard and I will be sharing stories of remarkable people starting Wednesday, September the 18th at 10 o'clock in the Provo Senior Center. Our first two classes will be about men who are rehabilitating gang members and criminals, Father Gregory Boyle and Joseph Grenny. Here's Joseph.
Meet the Other Side Academy. Standing before you now are close to 100 people who've been arrested on average 25 times. Collectively, at the moment this picture is taken, they're facing 600 years of additional incarceration. But at about this same time, in 2015, various jurisdictions in the state of Utah made an interesting decision. They decided to give the folks in front of you now an opportunity to change their lives rather than go back to jail or prison. They moved into an old historic home in downtown Salt Lake City and called themselves the Other Side Academy.
We'll be discussing two men who were in prison, Clarence Earl Gideon and Jimmy Santiago Baca. Baca taught himself to read while in prison.
The first book I read when I was actually capable of reading a full sentence, and then capable of focusing on a paragraph, and then capable of comprehending a page, and then capable of understanding the entire chapter was Turgenev. Well, the first
the
one,
Russian writer.
yeah, but the first one was the romantic, the 19th century romantic poets, Shelley, Byron, Coleridge, Wordsworth.
One lesson will be about Brian Stevenson defending wrongly convicted prisoners. The lesson about Louis L'Amour will be quite a contrast. Professor Randy Pausch had terminal pancreatic cancer, but watch him do push.
I am in phenomenally good health right now. I mean, is the greatest thing of cognitive dissonance you will ever see is the fact that I am in really good shape. In fact, I'm in better shape than most of you.
The value of an education. Billionaire Doris Buffett funded college educations for inmates in Sing Sing Penitentiary. The graduates became productive citizens. What school opportunities are offered homeless children? We'll talk about Stacy Bess, who taught at a school for the homeless in Salt Lake City. Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head because she believed.
I'm not gonna try to finish that.
Just believe me, these are people we do want to hear about. They are movers and shakers and making a considerable difference in our world today. And so a lot of them we're not even familiar with, and that's why you want to come to this class. And of course, stay for the 11:15 potpourri. Now, Thursday's lineup, the last teaching day of the week, is also incredible. We have Brad Daw sitting in the back of the room who will be speaking about current politics. I don't know how many they watched the debate last night. But oh, I did 3 fountains and I tell you, people were screaming. You could hear it right through the walls. Oh, I hate political seasons, and especially when we go, oh my gosh. But he helps us to objectively, both sides of the issue, work through a lot of important policies that are going to impact our lives. Along with many other classes that are being taught this semester, we really need to be informed. That's what we need before we vote. 11 o'clock in the morning, after Brad Dawes' class, we've got Neil Lambert again, luckily, who's going to take us again strolling through American poetry. And then, after lunch at 1 o'clock, we've got Lori Blomquist, who's going to be really taking us through some music that is in-depth, passionate stuff that gives us a great balance of subjects this semester, honestly. And then, to top it all off, our favorite Shakespeare instructor, Dave Johnson, will end things on at 2:15 on Thursday. So let's see the videos for these Thursday instructors now. Oh, you want to do yours in person? Okay. Wait till the video. Oh, you'll start. That's right. He's the first one. 10 o'clock, Brad Daw. And we're so fortunate to have him because you may be leaving us if you get elected.
No.
Oh, thank goodness. He's not going to be elected.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brad Daw, and our class on Thursday, we start with current events. And I got thinking about it this fall. We got a lot to talk about. Maybe you not know there's a presidential election. And I got thinking about this, and I thought, if I had come to you 15 years ago and told you who was on the ballot and why, you'd either think I was completely out of my mind, and you'd start looking for property in the Gobi Desert. We talk about current events. There's a governor's race here in Utah that's, let's just say it's interesting. We'll break that down for you. We'll talk about what's going on in the state, around the country, and around the world. And one thing we do in my class that I love is we really demonstrate what civics is all about. The fact is this is a country founded on the idea that we can have freedom of expression.
and freedom of religion. And here in my class, we freely express. And we have a lot of fun with it. We're respectful. We'll hear a lot of different viewpoints. We'll let you hear as many sides as people are willing to offer, and let you decide for yourself where you come down and what you believe. And if we don't all go out there thinking the same thing, that's okay too. So come Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. We have a good time. We have a robust discussion. And I will say this, if you have my email or my phone number and there's particular topics around current events that you want to hear about, send them to me. We'll make them a part of the class. This is your class more than it is mine. We like to talk about what's going on, and we want to make sure that we make it interesting to you. We'll see you Thursday. Thank you.
My name is Neil Lambert. The class will be a slow stroll through mostly American poetry. That first class will be taught in the Provo Senior Center on the 19th of September at 11 o'clock. The plan for the class is to sample the poetic works of some of America's most famous literary figures. Concerning first, what we really mean when we talk about poetry, and then going on to see why poetry may not only be enjoyable, but perhaps helpful for us as human beings. Perhaps even experiencing, as Robert Frost said, the surprise of remembering something I didn't know I knew. Poetry can do that. There won't be any text as such. We will consider only a few poems each time. At our first meeting, I will pass out and make available the poems that we might consider for the next session, and then we will continue that pattern throughout the course. That gives us the flexibility to follow our own interests and to taste and enjoy those expressions that we all like the most. I'd look forward to meeting with you. Thank you. My name is Lawrence Blomquist, and I'm happy to be a faculty member for this year's ElderQuest programs. And I'll be talking about music. My sessions will be Thursdays at 1 o'clock, and the first 19th, and the sessions will be at the Provo Senior Center. You'll be able to find that all very easily. The title of my program is How to Understand Concert Music, and the music specifically will be concertos. The historical period will include music from the Baroque period up until the 20th century. And the concerto music is actually music featuring a soloist plus accompaniment, which is normally a large symphonic organization, or it could even be a small group of 7 musicians, or perhaps less. Concerti are really a metaphor, because we've got a hero, which is the individual soloist, and we've got a group, and that's the orchestra, or a group of maybe 7 or 10 musicians that will be with it. There will include oboe soloists, trumpet soloists, and so forth. The romantic concerti include an orchestra of maybe 100 musicians or more. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have jazz as part of it. Jazz is a form of a concerto, and we'll explain more about that when we get there. Look forward to having you as a visitor, and we'll have a lot of fun together with listening to the music. Thank you for your attention, and we'll look forward to September.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Enjoying Shakespeare. I look forward to seeing all of you again, and we can have some fun with the Bard. Our class will again be in the same time slot on Thursday afternoon from 2:15 to 3:15. and we will start our first class on the 19th of September. Remember, we are in classroom A of the Provo Senior Center, and we look forward to having you there. And if you cannot come and want to attend on Zoom, you're certainly welcome to do that either. We will be doing it on Zoom as well. One thing I would like to do is to have you share experiences that you had at the Utah Shakespeare Festival, those of you who have been this summer, and we can have a good discussion about what went on and what you enjoyed and what you learned. Remember about this class, it is a reader's theater type class, which means you do not have to have the script memorized, you don't have to have prior experience, and you don't have to take part unless you really want to. We would prefer that you be willing to read. We don't expect you to be professionals. You are welcome to read ahead if you like. You don't have to. We will have a script that will be projected during class, which will be available for both those in the classroom and those attending by Zoom. If you like having your own script, you're welcome to buy them, or you can borrow them at the library. And used bookstores have good complete works available. The idea is that we come and we enjoy the class together. We will be doing Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra, and As You Like It, not necessarily in that order. Now you'll notice that there's only three Shakespeare plays being done at the festival next year, and those are the three that we're doing. For one more play, we'll be figuring out something that we can do. So we look forward to having you for Enjoying Shakespeare on Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much.
What a wide, diverse range of learning experiences we have. Now, just so you know where they're all sitting, we've got, did Bradley? Yeah, he had to go. He's really hard to get. That's why I think he's going to be with us. And he was going to run for office, really, and we thought we'd lose him forever. So we've got Brad on Thursday. We have Neil Lambert sitting over there somewhere. Where are you, Neil? Oh, right here, Neil. And we've got Lori. Come on, guys, where's Lori? There he is. Hi, Lori. I can't wait for your jazz section. All right, and then we've got Dave Johnson and her right there. Anybody else have any questions? You can free. But wow, look at this lineup. We've got history, we've got international information, current events, politics, we've got poetry, we've got music, Shakespeare. Are we classy or what? Oh, thank you so much for coming today. I hope you had a wonderful time, and thanks to Margene for organizing everything. She's our big kahuna and she's wonderful. Give her a hand. Thank you.